Hey crafty friends, this is Jenny from crafttestdummies.com, and it's been a while since I've done a studio update, and yes, I have kind of reorganized again. I think it's just part of what crafters do. We have to keep re-evaluating our space. So as of now, which is September 2018, this is how I'm using my craft studio. Let's take a look. The first area I'm going to share with you is right next to the door and right next to the spiral staircase. So I've moved my Cricut Maker back over here into this location. Previously, I'd moved it kind of back into the corner, and I found that I just wasn't really using it. And of course, when you spend money on a machine, you want to use it. So rule number one, if you want to use it, keep it close by. So my Cricut Maker is here, and then in the drawers, I have underneath it, and I will have a link for this in the description. This is a honeydew rolling cart. I have all of my rolls of vinyl, flocking, some extra adhesives, but most of the things that I want to use with my Cricut Maker are also in this cart. Keep it all together. And then I just use some command hooks to go ahead and hang my mats up on the wall so that anytime I want to do this, I can just fire it up and it's right here. Everything's ready to go. Now the area next to the Cricut Maker is kind of my quilting and sewing area, and also I'm doing some paper cutting here. So in this stack I have different kinds of fabrics and adhesives. I also have a little project on top that I want to remind myself to do, and my ribbons. Now, on a daily basis, I'm not really sewing that much, so I'm also putting my Fiskars Procision paper trimmer. I have a link to this review. It is still my favorite because it's a rotary cutter that rolls on these two rails, which means it's always a straight cut. And I can go through like 5 sheets of cardstock at a time with this. So you may have noticed back here, I have all of this scrap paper lined up. It's my goal to get that scrap paper cut up so I'm ready to use it for note cards and card fronts. So this is a nice place to do it. I actually hung a paper lantern here to give me some nice bright but diffuse light. Now when I'm ready, I'll be able to go ahead, grab my sewing machine, which is kind of tucked here in the corner. This is my sewing kit. I can put my machine up on the table, roll my kit out, and boom, I'm ready to sew. And you'll notice there are also more stacks of fabric and facings and batting and whatnot over here in the corner. And then this library card catalog, if you guys have followed my blog for any time, you've seen this in Ohio, you've seen this in Manhattan, and yes, now it lives with me here in New Jersey because all of those little drawers are great places to hold thread, bobbins, spools, zippers, Velcro, and now it's also holding things that I might not use every day, but I like to have. So including my metal stamping supplies live in here, all of my alcohol inks live in here. I've got my heat fix tools and extra hot fix Swarovski crystals, extra punches. I mean, gosh, we could just spend a whole day opening up every one of those little drawers. And hey, if you'd like a video of that, let me know. Maybe I'll make one for you. And then on top, I use these options bins, and I get these from Costco. They're usually pretty cheap, and you get a pack of 3 at a time. And again, things that I'm not using every day, but normally I can just like pull out my metals and go ahead and move it onto the table. My hot fix Angelina fibers, extra napkins, Christmas stuff. I can just grab that whole bin. The goal is don't stack them too high. I really think like probably 4 is max, and I've got these stacked up higher than that, but you can grab what you need and then move it to the table, use it, and then put it right away. As we rotate around, this is that little weird nook, and this is the only natural light that I get down here, and I'm below grade, so it doesn't really help me much because it's always just dim. But I have an extra bookshelf here with canvases, wood, my extra machines, which I need to get my scan and cut back out and set up on a table as well, different sprays. And then I just took an old laundry hamper and I put all of my wrapping paper, background fabrics, and, you know, like little things on rolls. All my things on rolls live here in the corner. So it's not elegant, but I think at least it's visually less cluttered. Now, Craft Test Dummies isn't Craft Test Dummies without a place to make videos, because you guys know I do like to do my videos, and I was thinking about this ever since we moved. In my old house, I had one of these quilt cutting tables and I left it there. So when I found one of these on a Facebook marketplace, I snapped it up. And the reason why I like it is that of course, I can use it as a beautiful quilt cutting surface. I can cut my fabric on it. It's also table height. So if I'm making my videos, I really like to be able to stand up and work. Now, a lot of you want to know, how do you make videos? Well, I think this Manfrotto arm, and I'll have a link to one of those in the description area too, is great for me. And then I just hang my Canon and I use my little swing arm viewfinder here so that I can stand, see what I'm doing, and my hands are right down here. I also have an extra little light box to take pictures of cards or whatever I'm doing. And then the lights, which makes everything look good. But that's just a nice, now I feel like I can walk over, I can make a video, and it's not taking up the whole place. I'm gonna get a cameo of our cats because over in this area, this is the beginning of the work desks. Now I do have this wonderful spinner here that I got from a business that was going out of sale. And this is where I like to keep and display my beautiful folk art dies. I've got paints. I've got my Mod Podges around the corner. So I like to have this here. I can see everything that I need. I can grab it, and it's very well organized. So this is my daughter's table. We share all of the paints above it. So, you know, that's for both of us to use, and then the markers as well. But this is her work desk, so I didn't clean her workspace because that's her space. But you can see some of her artwork that she has been working on. Ooh, wait, hold on. Oh, and then some of her Copic pieces as well. So then we have kind of my workspace here on the other side. So now here is a bird's eye view of my work desk. As you can see, I am using my Tim Holtz mat pretty much all the time. One of the reasons why I didn't want to film here anymore was because this is such a shiny surface that I was getting all of this glare from my overhead light. And gosh, if you turn my task lights on, it got even worse. So I like to use this as a work surface, but it's not really good for filming. But I do really love these lamps. These will be in the description. They're fairly inexpensive. They swivel. They're dimmable. And even these like swivel back and forth and up and down depending on what you need. And now that I'm over 45, I find that I need more light, and I need that nice bright blue light, which is why you'll see so many lights in my studio. It's so that I can really see the colors of what I'm doing. But around my table, I've got my heat embosser, I've got extra tools that I like, my water brushes, paint brushes, dyes, inks, and then over here on the side, I've got my Big Shot, which I use all the time. It's actually, this is the big kick, but you know what I mean. My Sizzix, and then I've got extra plates, adhesive, embossing folders all here. And then in this stack, I have things that I use all the time, like my scissors and adhesives, my wipies, all kinds of substrates. This may have to move actually, because I'm not using that quite as much. My whole drawer au bling with my Nouveaux and my embellishment mousses. All of my glitters from Nouveau down here, and then extra stickers down there. So those are the things that I'm using most of the time. And if I swivel around, you can see everything for those paper crafting activities. On the top, I've got watercolors. These are my Twinkling H2Os. These are all of my powdered inks and dyes, so Colorburst, Nuance, Magicals, etc. My embossing station, my stamp pads that I use most often, including my new favorite, my VersaFine Clairs live here, my embossing materials, my scoring materials, all of my ink pads here on the top. I just find that I can grab them and use them and then put them right away. And then down here we've got all, well, not all, this is about half of my collection of stamps and dies. And you can see that some things are commingled. So like in this birthday one, I've got, let's see if I can do this with one hand. I've got stamps, but I've also got a die in here. And my goal is to make an insert so that I can see all of them from the outside. And then some things I keep individually stacked in its original packaging. I don't have really a rhyme or reason why some things I split and some things I keep together. I'm still looking for a better plan for that because there are the rest of them. That big pink bin is filled with more dies and stamp sets that I need to put away. So, but I do have paper, scrap paper, my Xyron. In these drawers, I have all of my ink smushers and nudgers. I like to have that on hand. Extra die pads and watercolor media. I really want to put all of my watercolor pencils here in this first one. And then down here, I have my paper tray ink paper and then all of my specialty paper from Nuvo back here. So I have a whole nother rack, which I will link for you in the description area. I use these fingernail racks to carry my pabillos. By the way, these are the same racks that I use for my folk art paints as well. I just think they're really pretty, and I love having the rainbows on the wall. You notice I've got my rainbows of pabillos, I've got my rainbows of die inks, I've got my rainbows of folk arts, and then I have my rainbow of dies over there. I just like to have those things up where they can greet me. And then on the back wall, these are things I don't use as often, but I do kind of want to have them on hand. So extra Xyron supplies, watercolor crayons, Pitt pens and children's supplies, things to mail out. So if I need to send you a goodie from one of my groups, cards, mailing materials, my pan pastels and washi tapes, books, extra paints. And then this is kind of the beginning of like my bead and mixed media section. So this is all bead and resin and polymer clay and mixed media and layering. You could probably also spend a whole day just like, you know, dipping through all of these little bins looking at stuff. My wire working, my encaustic stuff. There's just a lot of it. But so most of my jewelry making is here. I do have a little bit underneath my table as well. And then if I pan around underneath the spiral staircase, this is just all polymer clay stuff. So I kind of feel like I want another nice honey-dew cart. I think I'm going to invest in one more of those and then put the honey-dew cart over here so that I have a place for my pasta machine and all of my little die cutters and whatnot. I just think it'll look beautiful, and then encourage me to roll that cart out, take it over to the table and use it. Because again, if you can't get to your stuff, you're not going to use it. So I hope you enjoyed this little updated tour of my studio and how I'm using it. If you have any questions about the products that you've seen, or the storage that I'm using, or the kind of way my brain works when I'm laying these things out, please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I really feel like storage and organization is something that artists and crafters just struggle with daily. And about the time we think we've got a system we like, we realize that it's broken. So follow me on this journey. See some of my other craft product review videos that maybe have popped up in the cards. And as always, I would love it if you would like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a crafty day.